Here is how to add AI to your FastAPI applications. First of all, I want to explain why FastAPI is the best solution for your API applications. First of all, it's lightweight. It's really easy to develop concurrent and asynchronous jobs with FastAPI applications. Additionally, FastAPI makes it so easy to just create some models like base models, schemas for your API calls. Let's start the setup process. First of all, what we will do is generate a virtual environment for us to do our developments. So I will go ahead, say Python. The version that I'm using for Python is Python 3.12. We will go ahead and create a virtual environment for us and then activate the virtual environment. So I will make Visual Studio Code use our virtual environment. Now what we will do is create a file called main.py. This is the main file that we are going to be using. Then we are going to have some dependencies. So to install these dependencies, let's create requirements.txt file and add our dependencies. We will be using OpenAI API, so I will have the OpenAI as one of the dependencies. In order to run the FastAPI application, I will have Unicorn, and finally FastAPI, since we are going to be doing a FastAPI development. So let's install these dependencies. Now that our dependencies are installed, let's start writing the code. First of all, we will need to import what is required. So I will be importing FastAPI, since we will be creating a FastAPI application with this. And I will be importing Pydantic for base model. This will give us really easy verification for the request schemas. And finally, we will be installing we will be using OpenAI. So let's also import OpenAI. Now, first of all, in the request, I only want to get what user want to ask for. So the prompt of the user. So let's create a class for that. This will use our base model and there will be only a prompt, which is a string. So, since we already use base model, Pydantic will do all the request verifications for us. Before that, we need a initialization of FastAPI application and OpenAI client. So let's create our FastAPI application and client from OpenAI. Now we have everything ready. Let's start writing our endpoint code. Now we have our model and initial variables ready. Let's start writing the code for the endpoint. So it will be a post request. Let's call the endpoint -ask endpoint. This function, let's call it ask to OpenAI, and it will accept a request, and the request will be a prompt request. So that the Pydantic does all the verifications for us for the request. And finally, what we will do is we will get the response from OpenAI client. OpenAI client have a class called responses, which we will be using. .create is the exact function that we will be using. If I command click on create, what you will see is every parameter I can send is visible here. And there is more definitions. Basically, this function is used for sending requests to OpenAI. In order to send a request, we need to specify two things. First of all, we will say which model we are going to be using. In my case, I will be using GPT-4o mini model. It doesn't matter which model it is, you can just look out for the model names, model IDs. These are publicly available information. You can go ahead and check it out for yourself. Additionally, I will leave a link to the description of the video with what is actually the responses API that OpenAI provides. And we want to send an input to the model. So what we will do is we will send the requests.prompt. Why request.prompt? Because the request, it's a prompt request. .prompt is the prompt of the request. This will get us a response, and from this endpoint I want to return response. Let's return a JSON actually. Let's say the answer is response dot, there is actually multiple possible outcomes depending on the model. So for some models there is different parameters. What you will see in the create function is there is different parameters like top p, let me go directly to here, like top p, top log props. These are useful if you want to get multiple answers to your questions. However, in our case we will just get the responses output text. In order to get authenticated to OpenAI, we will also need an environment variable called, so I will be creating a file named env and say OpenAI API key. So you need to get your API key. I will link a documentation in the description for you to check out so that you can go ahead, get your own API key. Now I will copy paste my API key to here. Now that I have my environment variable set for the OpenAI API key, now I should be able to send a request to OpenAI. Let's see it in action. I will be using Uvicorn to run the project. I will say Uvicorn main app -- reload, which means if I change something in my code, I want you to reload it. If I just click on enter, what you will see is I get a URL. If I go to this URL, just like you see, detail not found. Since I don't have any like health check endpoints or I don't have anything in the slash endpoint, that's why I am getting this detail not found. If I go to slash docs, I will go to the Swagger UI for this project, and what you will see is I have the slash ask endpoint. It says ask to OpenAI. So let's try it out. Let's say give me a one word, one joke about unicorns, for example. If I execute the code, what you will see is it will run our code, go to OpenAI using our model, and actually you see we sent a post request here. It will use this model that we provided, it will send this input to this model, get an answer and return that answer for me. Why did the unicorns cross the road? To get to the other side where grass is always greener. Like, this was the answer that basically I got from OpenAI. You can easily integrate your FastAPI applications with these AIs, and they are really useful. Trust me, I've been using them for a while, and it's not just for asking some questions. Sometimes they write my code for myself. Sometimes, depending on the use, I do some personal things with it too, like anything that you ask to OpenAI, to ChatGPT, to Gemini, to QN, any model that you want, you can also use it in your codes. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Take care.